Hi, everybody. Welcome to April's edition of the NeQter Labs Town Halls. I'm sure it comes to no surprise to anyone here that we will be going over the newest features in the 2.18 update, as well as reviewing some features that were there from previous updates, just to kind of show you how everything rounds out working together. Um, I'm here with Patrick as always. He's going to be leading today, and he will walk you through everything. And at the end, we will, of course, open everything up to a question and answer section. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions you might have towards the end, even if you need to pause us as we go through things, just because it'll be fresh in your mind. That's perfectly fine. Just post them in the questions area of the chat. Pat, I will hand it over to you, my friend.
Yep. Hey, everybody. Hopefully, it is good that we came out with this update because we've got something to share for this month. It would have been funny, I guess, if we had come out with it on yesterday, April Fool's, but we didn't want to fool anybody. We wanted to have it be a real update. So, going to be reviewing some of the new things I've hinted at past couple of months. Yeah, but I'll be able to walk you through it on the demo system we have, just to show you what it looks like, what we've got going on, and a couple of concrete examples that we'll be able to get through. We also have some upcoming events that we're going to be in attendance, one very shortly, one next month. So just wanted to give a shout out if anyone's going to be in the area. And then, of course, any Q&A. We want to review everything on the call today. So just let me or Nick know if you have a question, pop it in the chat. So update 2.18.0, you might see, and you'll actually see on my demo, there's going to be a 2.18.1. There was a slight fix that we caught and then immediately added. So 2.18.1 is going to be the latest, but for all intents and purposes, this is going to be, everything's the same with 2.18. So something I had talked about last time that we have now in the tool is a couple new reports. Majority of what I'm going to be covering today is actually some enhancements that we have to the custom reports that you will be able to edit and modify on your own. But in terms of new reports that we've added, the first, they're both vulnerability reports. The first is a most vulnerable hosts report, and then the other is a vulnerability frequency report. Now, there's a lot of great reports and still great reports within the vulnerability scanner itself, and a lot of things that you can still do with that. But we just want to continually build in a centralized reporting, and that's what this effort is for, having these new vulnerability reports in here that you can manipulate and edit, and then also designate which results that you want to pull from the different areas. Just to pull up the demo system. So when it comes to these new reports, you're going to be able to do it one of two ways. You can, on the top right here, you can on-demand it and just generate instantly the vulnerability frequency report or most vulnerable host report. And it will allow you with the custom reports, which I'll get into in a bit. You can name it something different if you're doing an on-demand. If you want to say, hey, you know what? I just want to generate the latest demo, full and fast scan that I have specified here. You can also adjust the quality of detection. By default, and on the Vuln Scanner OpenVAS, it is 70, so you can adjust that. This report only comes in an Excel, but do you really need anything more than Excel? So that's what the report format's going to be. But then, of course, you can say all tasks. So any results from any tasks will get pulled into the report, or you can specify a certain task that you have running on the Vuln scanner, and you can either select default latest scan, or you can go back and say, you know what, I really want that one from Jan 25, and I want to run that report. So when you run the report, so as you can see here, it took the user-defined name on demand report. If I wanted to name this Jan 25 demo full and fast, when I go and I run the report, it's going to save that file with that name. So if I open this up, how this is going to be organized is by tabbed at the bottom by severity. So there's no highs in this report. There seems to be one medium and a few lows. So you'll be able to tab across, and that's what that report looks like. So all the different vulnerabilities by severity grouped at the bottom and tabbed in this Excel. So I just wanted to show you what, if I wanted to say, I want it right now, what it looks like. But of course, if we go into the reports area and we look to schedule a report, we go to reports here. So of course, because I just ran that report, it's going to show up right here. Has the report type, but of course it was run instantly. If I wanted to set up a new scheduler with this report, much like the other report types that we have, you'll be able to select the general system report, the full inventory report, but now you'll be able to select vulnerability frequency report and most vulnerable host report. Just like the other reports, we can designate the frequency when it's going to run. If we want to receive it, send it to any email addresses. So just add mine here. Selecting the quality of detection like I had just shown, but of course you can select the task and the latest one. So the nice thing about this is in the vulnerability scanner itself, when you go by reports, the only thing that you can do is click into the task and the specified report. And then if you want to go and look at all vulnerabilities, there's areas to do that. But with this, you'll be able to select, it's not just a single select. I can select multiple reports, or rather tasks. So if I want this demo scan, but then I also want this VM network, I can select both of them, hit save. So every month, it's going to provide me with, that scan data. Or again, I can click all, or I can select an individual one and select the specific, scan. But you want to keep this with this report type, with this frequency, you'll want to keep it latest scan if you select a specific one. So that's what that looks like. So a lot of flexibility in what you're going to be able to do in the types of reports that you can generate. Now this other one here, so we looked at the vulnerability frequency report. If I just want to run a, let me just run an on demand for this most vulnerable hosts. And select the demo again, and I'll just select latest. So if I run this report now, save it. So it's going to group, so the other one was based upon vulnerabilities. This one's based upon hosts. So it's going to be grouped the same, and you're going to be able to look at which host has which vulnerabilities, and they'll all get listed by host. So that's what that one looks like. So a lot of good stuff, a lot of good reports with these two new ones that we have, and you'll be able to on demand it or schedule it. So if I refresh here, this page, we'll see vulnerability frequency report and the most vulnerable host report, both right here, that we just generated. So those are those two new reports. I talked a little bit about some of the things that we have when it comes to the customer reports, but we'll take a look at that now, a little bit more that we can do with this new reports feature. Of course, just another shout out, any reports that you think are worthwhile that we can bake in, let us know. Of course, there's going to be a lot of flexibility to specific use cases that you have, so I'll show you a little bit of what that looks like. But if there's a general report, and we're going to be adding more and more, but of course, we always value feedback for what types of reports or searches that can be integrated into the platform. So for the custom reports area, it has been greatly enhanced with a few things, easy things that's like, well, should that have been included on launch? Probably. So it's in here now with a couple things such as the ability to name not just the on-demand reports, but also scheduled custom reports. And of course, when you're naming it, it's going to show up in the timeline, in the history of reports generated, like I just previously showed. So these custom reports are going to have their own names. And here, it's also, of course, going to be listed in the report schedules. But you're also going to have the name populated when you download the report. So when you download the report, you'll be able to find it easily. It's still going to have the same schema on the year, month, day appended at the end, but you're going to have the name of whatever you name that custom report. So going to be much easier to navigate, especially as you go back in time, or if you have recurring custom reports, or of course, if you save it off, you'll be able to find that more easily. So when we do that, and then also do it here, it's going to be listed out, and you'll be able to sift through and find those different reports that got generated. So there is one question I see, but I'll look to answer it after I wrap up this the custom reports area. So another thing that is enhanced in the custom report area is all of the searches have been alphabetized. So if you're going to create a new custom report, so if we go over here, make a new scheduled report, new custom report, save searches are alphabetized in here. So if you save something, you'll be able to easily find it. Before it was by oldest to newest. Now it's alphabetized. So if you want to work that into how you save your searches, that's up to you. But that is now organized. And another thing that we added that I'll just mention on the slideshow here is, it's twofold. The aggregated fields. So if you want to group by a field, it's only going to provide you with a list of available fields, i.e. there is data in those fields. So if an index has 100 different field types, but only 20 of those fields have data in them or data present, that is what is going to show up in this grouping. So a much better way to sift through or organize and group by field. And then, of course, now when you group by a field and you go and you download that custom report, the aggregated fields are going to be tabbed at the bottom with the field itself, or the value is going to be the name of that tab. So if you were to if you wanted to generate a successful logons for Windows custom report, and you wanted to group by username, when you group by the username, the users that are present in the data are going to get tabbed at the bottom of that Excel. And that could be anything. You can group by IP, group by country, whatever, there's a field or a data type that you want. If you're downloading 365 logs and you want to include or group by username or what have you, same deal. You select it. When you group by and you save that report, and then when you save and then open that file, the Excel file is going to have all of those tabbed at the bottom. If there isn't data within the field that you group by, it will all get thrown into a ungrouped bucket, which falls into the first tab. But of course, if there's that data in the field, then it will tab across. So that's going to be, I think, super helpful for, so just to kind of walk through an example. So if we wanted to, we'll just do an on-demand one. So if we want to do an on-demand custom report, we can do, let's say, successful logons in the last day, so we don't have too many logs here. We'll go down to Windows here, and we'll select the Windows event logs successful login, or we can do Windows AD successful user logins. And we want to group by subject username. So we'll do that. We'll run the report. Shows up here, successful logons in the day today. Hit save. Open this up. And we can see account successful logged on. So we have the the appropriate things. And so this one was ungrouped because this is I imagine this isn't a domain PC. And so these other ones, though, tabbed at the bottom, so we can see each specific user if we wanted to go through only that user's logs on here. So that's all tabbed in here. So that's what that looks like. Just to show you an example of that. So, so let me get to that question that popped up here. So the question, do you know how Upstream is handling the NIST NVD CVE database issue, assuming like the rest of the Western world, they are utilizing that for CVE records? So I imagine that this is in reference to that recent the issue of I guess it was like an understaffing issue, or just an issue of continually maintaining the CVE database from NIST. So we do leverage NIST's NVD and CVE database. I don't think I have a good answer for that, because I still need to get personally updated on if anything's changed with that, or how other people are dealing with that. I know that was something that I believe came out last month, so have to take a look at that. Yeah, that's one of those things where the government stops doing something, and then you think that they will resume or put a plan in place, but it doesn't seem like anything meaningful or constructive has come out. So that'll be something that we need to address. I don't think that's something that we have looked at for this update, since we were working on it already and wanted to get it out. So that's a TBD issue. Yeah, it's affecting everybody. That's one of those things that always kind of puzzles me as even a small software company, where we find something, either because we leverage different open source, such as Elasticstack or Greenbone's OpenVOS on the Vuln scanner, and we find and these are used by thousands and tens of thousands of companies across the world, and then we find an issue in the code that either we patch or we raise an issue with the in the community, and we're like, why did we find this thing when we're such a small outfit? But yeah, so that will be a TBD, something that we'll keep tracking, and hopefully it comes to a good conclusion. If it's not, we're going to have to address it. So keep you informed on that. So back to the presentation, just a couple other things to cover here. So this is, I know this is a small thing, but this is personally my favorite. Obviously, the reports enhancements, fantastic. The new vulnerability enhancement reports, fantastic. This, I think, is going to be very popular when you are in any place on the platform. When you click on the documentation flyout on the top right, it's anchored to the related area of the doc site, talking about where you are. So if you're on the host page, click on the doc flyout, you're on the host's documentation area of the doc site. So anywhere you are on the tool. So even this new reports area, we click over on the top right, and we're on reports, anchored. We go over to the compliance tool. It's going to be the same thing. So we're on the home page here of the compliance tool, compliance area, right here in the in the doc site. So now wherever you are, you have a specific question. You're like, I have yet to make my SSP. Let me make my SSP. Does explain here. Let's see if the doc says anything more that I could know. Oh, okay. Here's how I can do so. So again, I think this is super helpful. Again, wherever you are in the tool, the Vuln scanner, the host tab, dashboard, discovery area, click on that little book in the top right, doc site. It's going to present you with information of where you are currently in the platform. So that's what that looks like. Very simple, and I think because before it's easy to navigate. Now it's right in front of you. So that's that. And I talked about this last time, but it is in the platform now. So Cisco Secure Endpoint, we added the API for that. And so if you use Cisco Secure Endpoint, formerly Cisco AMP, you will be able to pull logs from the platform. This is the first of many. We're looking at some additional EDR integrations, and it's a little tricky because most of them are API, and API is usually a larger lift. Some of them are nicer though, and they have their own syslog exporting capabilities, such as CrowdStrike. That's one, for example, that has that we're going to look to add. One of the biggest things that we really focus on is how can we pull the logs, but then also present them meaningfully, prune out unnecessary log types, or just present what's most important. Because what often happens is we come up against, oh, well, this company, this other SIM integrates with this. And we're like, okay. And then we look, and it's just literally just a log dump. It's just, well, the logs are in there, but, you're not doing anything with them. We always want to add value to the logs as they're being presented. So added this in. This was actually a very straightforward, nice integration. So that's in here now. If you have that as a vendor, you can push those logs into the platform. And currently, we have an agent in the field getting tested with some enhancements, especially with Windows 11. We want it to be where you deploy or redeploy, it works right every time, all the time. So Windows 11, there was a couple snags that we ironed out with a new agent that isn't for full release yet. I'll cover that on probably the webinar next month, where we say, hey, get your agents. Here they are. Get the latest and greatest. But we're still testing that, making sure we're good to go on that. And then same thing in terms of, we have a couple people, but could use a couple more for just testing Red Hat agents if you'd like. And grab bag of other enhancements that we have, or that I thought I added that slide, so I'll just read them out. It's in the change log, but it was really just a couple bugs of, for example, if an Excel file didn't, sometimes you might make a search and there's no data in it. Well, it should still generate, and you should open up the file and it should show no data. So that's working now. Required safe searches are protected from accidental deletion. And one of the things that had been removed and we re-added was restoring the search bar to safe search management. So if you're searching for things, of course, when you do the custom reports now, it's alphabetized. And yeah, that's generally it for that. And then for upcoming shows, we're going to be sponsoring or attending a couple. So just wanted to highlight them here. So this is actually tomorrow, and the next day up in Boston. So I'll actually be taking the train up tonight, just to stay in the city. But CS2s, which is hosted by Summit 7, is a really great industry event where they have them twice a year, which with the CMMC ecosystem, I think it will make sense in the future. But as you know, the past couple of years has been a lot of updates out of the government. But of course, with the CMMC proposed final, that's a big deal. The new DC3 or DIPCS rule that came out final, big deal. So a lot of stuff to cover. It's going to be up in Boston. So if you're in the area, look to either, if you're not going to look to attend the show physically, you can virtually. Or if you are local, definitely recommend, even if you don't go to the show, coming out after, where there's a lot of people from around the country, a lot of people from the DC area, from government, but then also the Northeast area. That's going to be really good to catch up. So that's happening this week. I'll be there, and Levi and Rich from our team will be there as well. And then come May, there's going to be CMMC Day. Past couple of years, it's been in DC, but now it's a little bit north in University of Maryland area. So College Park, Maryland. So we're going to be sponsoring that. NeQter Labs is the Wi-Fi sponsor of all things. So we'll be there. I'll be there with Levi. So that will be DC area in May. And some more, a lot of good speakers. Same deal with CS2. I realize now that I didn't put a slide in here, but wanted to mention. So typically, for those of you that are interested, the NDIA New England Cybersecurity event is usually end of April, beginning of May. So that was actually shunted to the autumn timeframe, or September 10th specifically, because we didn't think it would be good to have two Northeast events, especially with CS2 Boston. A lot of the speakers, don't want to get double booked. So typically happens in May, but that got kicked to September. So if anyone has any questions about that event, last year we had it at Gillette Stadium, which was pretty cool. If the Pats can't be successful, we might as well should be with the event. So that will happen again this year. We'll be at Gillette again with that. So any questions on that, or if you need maybe discounted tickets or anything of that sort, we'll be there. We'll be sponsoring. We'll also be doing the after party, but I will talk more about that in the webinar as it gets closer. But wanted to give a shout out of, if you didn't see the save the date, or you're thinking I went last year, it usually happens this time. That's the story there. So those are the upcoming shows that we have. New update out with the custom reports enhancements, which is super exciting, and some other stuff. We have some big things coming down the line, looking to shore up what those timelines look like. So as we get closer, we'll definitely be talking about those more in detail. So wanted to see if there were any other questions before we look to wrap up the call today. It was a kind of short overview. A lot of good stuff. I'm sure as we keep going, there's going to be more and more review of how can I, harness the ability of the custom reports. Custom reports are, of course, based upon custom searches. So if you need any help with how to construct a good filter, how to save it, turn it into a report, or turn it into an alert, that's what we're here for, our support team, as well as, Nick on the call. So want to see if anyone has any questions, definitely type them out, or if you have any, comments. Thanks for the kind words, Kevin. The fly out feature, it's a small thing, but I think that will be very useful. Instead of digging through documentation, it'll be right there. So just gonna leave the call open for another couple minutes. Let people type, send things in if you have anything you'd like me to cover, or a custom search example that you'd like. Nick, was there anything that, let's see here. So a question here. This is likely a separate thing, but if I swap out my Aruba switch, do I have to remove the input and add it again, even with the same IP? No, if you're going to be keeping the same IP, so what's going to happen is in the settings area, of course, it's going to say not receiving. But as long as you frame for frame, have it where it has the same IP and it's Aruba, and you look to send it to the platform again, I am 99% sure you don't have to change the input because it's the same settings. But I can double check that, but I don't think that there's an issue with having to remove it. Anything more advanced like APIs, yes, but with the IP being the same switch type, if you're just pulling an old one, putting a new one in, syslog output, sending it to NeQter, it should pull in just fine. But then of course the details of the switch itself, if you change the name of it, that'll be reflected in the logs. So I think that's fine, but I'll just double check. But it makes sense to me that you won't have to remove and re-added input for that. Nick, was there anything that you've been seeing lately that you think would be good to cover before we look to wrap up?
Oh, no, I don't have anything specific. Just a lot of focus on, creating saved searches, using those for custom reports and custom alerts, which, of course, anyone ever wants extra help with saved searches, like Patrick mentioned earlier, myself and support are available. I'm always happy to set up a specific call with anyone to kind of workshop doing saved searches. I'll show you some examples of saved searches, just so you can see the filtering process, and then, I'll walk through some with you so that you can not only create the saved searches that you want at the moment, but also kind of get that like guided hands-on learning process. But outside of that, Pat, you know, unfortunately for the content of the webinar, but great for our customer base and us, everything has just been very smooth sailing.
Well, I mean, that's good. Not looking for not looking for unneeded content. So yeah, so we'll look to wrap this call up today. So been talking about it for a couple months now, but really excited to be able to show you what we've been working on, what it looks like, how it's working. So get out there and update to the latest version, which is now, as of today, 2.18.1. So appreciate everyone's time today. And hopefully you have a great rest of your month. If you're in the area or you'll be attending those shows, give me a shout out. Let's see. One last question in here. Any progress on being able to apply multiple certification stacks to our SSP in compliance, such as ISO 27001? Could get tricky for DIB if we have to manage multiple revisions of these two. So with the SSP is going to be tethered to a specific framework, and we will have the ability to, or just like we do now, you can convert from NIST to CMMC and vice versa. We will be looking to add additional frameworks in, and it's going to be the same deal of the SSP is going to be tethered to that framework. For example, if you have, or if you want ISO 27001 and you have a current CMMC version 2, level 2, we're going to build in the ability to convert forward to a net new ISO 27001 SSP, and then from there it will be decoupled. You'll have to maintain the CMMC SSP and the ISO 27001 SSP separately from then on out. But in terms of a copying work forward, you're going to be able to do that. In terms of sharing, or tying things in, we don't have that in the cards as of right now. I'll never say never, but it's not something that we've been actively looking at in development. But, as we look to add those to show frameworks in future, it will be framework by framework, SSP by SSP, since, they'll have to be maintained separately. So that's the plans right now, is to include additional frameworks and have cross mapping, but not have a pure live kind of like master framework. But that might change in future, but that's how we're going to look to build it out, at least for the next from now on. But we'll let you know if that changes. Obviously, we'll cover on these webinars if we have or looking at adding frameworks, what they are, what they'll be, how to make them, all that stuff there. So probably not the answer you wanted to hear, but it's the answer that we have. But yeah. So any other questions before we look to wrap up?
I think that just about does it for questions, Pat. Thank you everyone for taking the time again to join us today. If there's anyone in your companies we not get to attend today's webinar, but you still want them to see the reports, don't forget, we always record these and post them to our YouTube page. So you can go there anytime and watch not only this webinar, but any webinar that we've ever done in the past. I hope everybody has an excellent rest of the week, and we will see you all again next month.